Hi everyone, it's Rachel back with the Shades of Orange. Today I'm here to do another book haul. Now this one is a little bit unusual for me because virtually every book in here has been sent to me either by a publisher or a publicist. So these aren't books that I purchased with my own money, and I actually have only read one book I'm going to be talking about today. And I realized that these kind of videos are super controversial and I'm sure I'm going to get a ton of thumbs down, but I wanted to share these books with you, and there's going to be a lot of real talk in this video, so I'm going to give you my honest opinions about these books. And if you're game for that, let's get started. Now, first I want to talk about science fiction and fantasy, starting with the one book I have read in this haul, and that is Tiamat's Wrath by James S.A. Corey, which of course is the 8th book in The Expanse. And I won't spoil anything here, but I read it and absolutely loved it. This is an epic space opera. It's the 8th book in a 9-book series, so we're very close to the end. And I have done a separate review on this, which is spoiler free, so if you want to hear more of my thoughts, I will try to link to that at the end of the video. But otherwise, I'll say that I really enjoy this series. I want more people to get into it. And because the final book is supposed to come out soon in 2020, I'm thinking about rereading through the whole series and was wondering if people would be interested in joining me. I'd like to actually do a bit of a read along so that every month leading up to the release date we read a different book, and it'd be like super casual and just a chance to talk online, whether it be Goodreads or some kind of live chat, and talk about the book. So if you are interested in that, whether you have started the series or are just thinking about it, I would love to know if that's something that I should organize. But needless to say, I love this book. This was sent to me by Orbit and I just adored it. It's one I requested because I am obsessed with this series. Now, switching over to fantasy, I also got Black Leopard, Red Wolf by Merlin James. This was offered by Penguin Random House Canada and I did accept it. And I'll be honest, I got really wrapped up in all the anticipated releases that were coming out at the beginning of 2019. Everyone was talking about this book and calling it Game of Thrones in Africa. And I've been around BookTube and the internet long enough to know that that's basically just a marketing hook, but it still kind of worked on me, and that's why I basically accepted to check out this book. And unfortunately, I have tried starting this one and I am struggling to get into it. Not surprisingly, because Merlin James is more of a literary writer, I'm just finding the book very inaccessible, and I just don't really find that the story is working very well for me. So I have put it down for now. I'm going to try it again, and I'd love to know your thoughts. This one got so much buzz. I've heard kind of mixed reviews, so love to hear more opinions down below. If it's one that I should keep trying to read, if it's one that I just need to kind of push through maybe the first 50 pages and then it will hook me in. But right now, I'm just not as excited about this one as I was when I first requested it, which is really unfortunate because I know that a lot of people, myself included, have been anticipating this book for quite a while. Now I want to talk about some true crime, and I was very excited when a publicist reached out to me and offered me a copy of The Girls Are Gone by Michael Broadcobb and Alison Mann. This is a book I saw online and I just really was excited about the premise. It's about teenage girls that go missing, and basically the father is trying to track down what happened to them, and there's some really weird stuff surrounding his wife and how she reacted to her daughters going missing. I was very excited to accept this one, and this is another one that I have tried to start reading, but I found it extremely dense and I have decided to put it down for now. This is something I do struggle with true crime, is sometimes they are so readable and I just get absorbed in the story and they read like fiction, and sometimes they're just dense, and this one has a lot of like legal transcripts in it and I'm just struggling to get through it. So I'm a little disappointed that I'm not as invested in this one as I wanted to be. I do want to mention, of course, that I am a little bit overtired these days, so my mental capacities might be limited, so I might try this again when I'm getting a little more sleep at night and just see if that works better. I think it's an interesting premise, and it's definitely one that I'm going to give another try to, but I just need to kind of wait till I'm ready for it. Now, to follow up with another book that's sort of true crime, I also got a copy of Murder, Lies, and Cover-Ups by David Gardner, and this I received in my Creepy Crate box recently, and just like the title suggests, it's basically a book all about conspiracy theories. Unfortunately, I'm not someone who really buys into conspiracy theories, so I was not overly excited about this one. I've kind of looked at it, but I don't think this is going to be up my alley, so it might be one that I'll pass around to someone who will get more enjoyment out of it. Like I said, I kind of call it true crime, but not really, because I don't personally believe that a lot of these conspiracies are true. So take that with a grain of salt. I think that it really just depends on your own feelings towards like JFK and all of these incidents that they discuss in this book. And also in a Creepy Crate box, I received a copy of You Will Suffer by Alexandra Ivy, and this is a story about a woman who lives in an idyllic town until a serial killer comes along and starts to wreak havoc. She teams up with her neighbor who's an FBI agent, and they're trying to figure out who the killer is, and the story goes from there. I gotta say that I really love this cover. It's just really gorgeous. It is a mass market paperback, but it's like shiny and purple, and it really did catch my attention when I first opened the box. The one thing that is holding me back from reading it is the fact that while this is a thriller, it's also a thriller romance. And if you know me, I'm not so big on the romance side of things. It's not my favorite kind of thriller to read, because often the will they, won't they get together aspects of the plot kind of overshadow the serial killer aspects, which is the reason I am here for it. So I haven't started reading this one yet, but if it's one that you guys are interested in hearing a review for, I will try to prioritize it and read it sooner than later, so let me know about this one. Now for some more real talk, I have to mention 3 books that I received from Twitterbox, which is a horror subscription service. The curators of the box actually contacted me when they were starting it up back in 2018 and asked if I wanted to participate as someone to do unboxings. I happily said yes and provided my address. However, things got a bit awkward from there. Basically, for 3 months, they told me they were sending the box, but it never arrived, and I would have to contact them, and it would take time for them to get back to me. And I just became quite uncomfortable with the fact that I had provided my personal address in order for them to send the package. I am very cautious about sharing my personal information online, especially with non-large publishers, but eventually we just kind of lost contact and I just forgot about it. And then finally in April, I received a box in the mail that was beat up. It was covered in duct tape. I don't know if that's the cause of some of the issues, if that was more on the mailing side of things, if it got stuck in transit. But basically in April, I received what would have been the December subscription box, and in there was these 3 books. So I do want to show them to you, but because of my strange interactions with the curators of the box, I can't personally recommend the subscription box because I don't feel comfortable and confident to say that you will receive what you pay for. Thankfully, I did not exchange any money with them, but I just was very uncomfortable with the whole situation and just felt that they didn't handle my concerns very well, and I just have to be super honest with you. However, I am actually still interested in the books that came along in that box, and I do want to show them with you. None of these I have read yet. The first is, of course, The Rust Maidens by Gwendolyn Christie, and you know that I love hearing about horror by female authors, and I know this one has been put up for some awards, so I do want to check it out. I don't know a lot about it. I believe it's about girls back in the 80s that are slowly finding that their bodies are decaying, and then people are coming to the small town to watch and see what is happening to them. It sounds like a super weird premise. It's not one I just jump for the premise by itself, but I have heard really good things about this one, so I may check it out. Love to know if this is one I should prioritize. And in that same box, I also got a copy of We Should Have Left Well Enough Alone by Ronald Malfi. And the only thing I've ever read by him is his novel Snow. And so I've been meaning to read more by him. This is a collection of short stories. I know very little about it, but because I enjoyed Snow so much, I am interested in checking this one out. If you have opinions on where I should read next in terms of Ronald Malfoy, I'd love to know. Should I get this one going or should I read another one of his novels? But I will definitely report back if I read this one. And they sent one more short story collection, and that is Garden of Eldridge Delights, if I said that right, which is fiction by Lucy A. Snyder. I know absolutely nothing about this one. I am excited that it's by a female horror author again. I find the cover kind of weird and creepy and all of that. So one that I will just kind of dip my toes into and see if it's the kind of horror that I really enjoy. So curious about this one, know nothing about it. If you have read it or have heard of this author before, I'd love to hear more opinions before I actually pick it up. And finally, I want to show you 3 books that I received from Simon & Schuster Canada. These were sent unsolicited, which means that they were sent without me knowing it. I did not request them, but instead they just showed up in the mail. And I actually am not overly excited about the titles just because they aren't my personal reading taste anymore. Years ago, I came in contact with the publisher, and at the time I was reading a lot more thrillers, so they put me on a list of booktubers who enjoy thrillers. And so these books are all kind of in that thriller genre realm. And unfortunately, these days, if I'm honest, I just don't get excited about thrillers anymore. I do enjoy the occasional one, but I would rather that they would send these books to a booktuber that reads thrillers all the time, who loves everything that is a thriller. And that is kind of the downside with unsolicited books, is that often the tastes just don't match the particular reader and reviewer. So I did still want to share them with you. Before filming this, I did decide to email Simon & Schuster Canada and let them know that I'm no longer that excited about thrillers, which is sad because I know that I'm not going to receive these in future months, most likely. But at the same time, these books can go to someone else, and I also updated my taste with them. So hopefully, if I'm lucky, they'll send me more books that are more horror, science fiction, and fantasy, which are the 3 genres that I currently identify as being the primary genres on my channel. All that being said, let me actually show you what they sent me. The first one being House on Fire by Bonnie Kistler. This was part of one of their thriller chronicle packages, and this is about a supposedly happy married couple. However, things go wrong when their children are in a car accident, and you know right from the synopsis of this book that their daughter dies, and they're trying to piece together what happened on that fateful night. So very much a emotional, family-driven story. Not my personal taste, but definitely would be up a lot of other people's alley. The other book they sent along in that Thriller Chronicles package was The Homecoming by Andrew Piper. I believe he is a Canadian author. And this is basically about siblings that go home after their estranged father dies, and they basically start to uncover family secrets. So again, kind of like families, emotional depth, all these things that a lot of people enjoy, not my personal taste. So might be one that you want to check out, but for me, it's just not one that I'm probably going to read if I'm really honest. And finally, they sent me a book called Supermarket by Bobby Hall, who is also a rapper known by the name Logic. I hadn't heard of him before, but I did have to check out his music when I got this in the mail. And this is about a young man who gets a job at a supermarket and things get weird. I really don't want to give you more of the synopsis because even the marketing material around this book gave away way too much. I did try to read it, and it's not my thing. This is a book you will either absolutely love, give 5 stars to, and think is brilliant, or you won't connect with it. Unfortunately, I fell in the later camp. If you are interested in picking it up, I recommend go into it blind. Do not read much that is said online about it because there are huge spoilers even on the back of the book. So personally, I say just go into it blind because too much was given away in the marketing material. I basically guessed what was going on in this book, which definitely diminished my excitement for it. I kind of skimmed through the book just to make sure that I was right on my guess, and I was, and that was just a little bit disappointing for me. So not up my alley, but I do think that some people will absolutely adore this book because it just has some really weird stuff going on. So I'll leave it there, let that be a little bit mysterious, and let me know if that's one that you're interested in checking out. So that's it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed this book haul. I really just wanted to be honest with you, sharing the books I'm excited about as well as the books that I'm less excited for. As well, you may notice that I'm going to be requesting more books from publishers this year, and that is simply because the fact that I'm not working this year, which means I have virtually no budget to buy books. So if I do want to review something that isn't available at my library, reaching out to publishers is the only way for me to do that. So hopefully you're understanding, because I know it can be really controversial, but hopefully you can trust that regardless of the source of where my books come from, I'll always be really honest with you guys of my personal opinions. Otherwise, love to share your comments down below, which books you're excited about as well. Thank you so much for watching. I will talk to you again soon. Okay, bye-bye.